Welcome, everybody, into episode number 22 of the Motorsports Almanac podcast. We are joined by Rod Tschiggfrie of normally Dubuque, Iowa, but Rod, you're now sitting in the dyno shop right in front of your car in St. Louis, Missouri. Now, you own the car that is known as the Sorceress. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. And thanks for having me on, Wyatt. Shane, you guys are awesome. You guys, great. You have a great show.
Thank you, Rod. You're native to Dubuque County here where I'm at. You're along with the construction company that's in Dubuque, but it kind of caught my eye when I did not know that this car resided in Dubuque County. I stumbled upon a YouTube video a couple years back and followed it along, and I never knew that you're from Dubuque. But as I kept digging and digging, and I finally asked you one day if you want to jump on, and you said yes. It was kind of exciting that we get to tell the story of this.
Well, that's so true too. I don't really. I've always been a motorsports enthusiast. My mom and dad took me to the stock races every weekend, and it gets in your blood. It never leaves, and just being around that and having a community like stock car racing and tractor pulling, that's what every little boy grows up to be. You just want to be around them hot rods.
That's totally true. Right now, where we live at or where you're at right now in the Midwest, it's kind of like a motorsports hotbed, whether it's circle track, drag racing, tractor pulling, anything there is. It's sort of like the central location for it all, whether it's builders or competition places. And
you look at the roots here, you can go anywhere. Like I was telling you a little earlier tonight, some of my best friends are tractor pullers, and I don't even have a tractor. I've actually never tractor pulled. I had a diesel pickup I pulled at an event one time like 25 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I may have been the first diesel pickup that's ever pulled at an event, by the way. But that was the only time I've ever hooked to a sled. And I have so many friends in the genre of tractor pulling, either, gasoline, diesel, alcohol, whatever it would be. And they're all great people. You once you become friends, it seems like you never lose it.
That's true. And especially when it comes to the motorsports world, motorsports friends you meet along the way, whether it's through what you're doing, building your car, or if it's just bypassing at events, some of those people never leave you for the rest of your life.
I would agree with that. Right now, the best tips I'm getting from is from tractor pulling, and the Blackburns are right over in Wisconsin. Great friends, Josh and Terry. We share information a lot, and one of the things we're doing with this car I built, and I'll probably explain a little bit more about that later. But one of the things we're so identical. Terry and I both run methanol, and we're both running 640 cubic inch V8s, and we have a lot to talk about. And it's like, this is crazy. I'm doing this for 5 seconds, and you're doing it for 15. How do you make it live? And then he comes back to me, well, how do you do that? And it's pretty crazy, but you always end up changing and exchanging notes. That's for sure.
That's a conversation I would love to just sit back and listen to, I think.
So Josh gave me a hard time tonight because we were injecting water in front of the turbos just as a test, and it's working out. It allowed us to move it up the needle by another 600 horsepower. And he's like, wow. He says, the motor's really taking that. And I said, yeah. Those little baby jets that you sent me, I had to drill them things out. He started laughing. He goes, we need to get you into some good water injection where we're using a high pressure pump and it goes here instead of there. And I'm like, well, I really feel like a beginner now.
How much of your conversation strays between his need for constant power and yours to rev gain between gears?
It's so similar because we got to make them both live. We both build so much power that they got to be happy from the first second on. So I bet that at the end of the day, if you can make them live for 5 seconds, another 10 is probably almost the same recipe. Just change, it'll probably look like the same cake when you get done baking it, really,
Fair.
Yep.
But water certainly is important. And we learned that. We knew it all along. We're just not sure if it's going to be as effective as intercooling it. And so we're going to try both back to back here. And so we have to pull the plug on the dyno here now and go back. We have a big, large air to water intercooler we're going to try and just see what's changed. But it's moved the needle And we're right. I really don't want to give up the numbers right now because we're putting a YouTube channel together, but we're barking at the 5,000 horsepower numbers. What we're working at.
Yeah, I followed along with some of your trial runs and stuff you guys were doing here a couple weeks ago, and it was interesting to see just how revealing you guys actually were with the program and what you were looking for and what the car was doing and how it was responding to stuff. And you had to make a motor change, unfortunately, in the middle of it, so that kind of sucked. I'm sure it's eating you up that sick week or sick summer is going on like right there right now.
Literally driving right by us. And we really do want to do that. The hard part for us is listeners probably don't know, is it's what they call a drag and drive event. So you take your vehicle, you enter the class that you want to be in or that you belong in. And what you do is there's a predetermined 5 different racetracks and there's a map. And so you get to go to the first race course, lay down your best time you can do, load up your stuff, drive 200 miles to the next one. And you do that, you repeat that 4 times over. You do 5 tracks. And at the end of the time, you spend 5 days of your life, you've traveled 1,000 miles, and you've laid down at least 5 runs. And then you take your average and you see if you can be the best in your class at that. Well, the class that we'd have to be in, unfortunately, would be called Unlimited. And Unlimited means that it's anything goes. And so that means you as a person, you have to give your unlimited resources and your time and dedication to it. You will not have time for phone calls. You cannot run your business. You cannot run your daycare. You are going to be living and breathing that. And the guys in a limited class, more often than not, they don't get sleep, for a few nights of the whole thing. So it's serious. I get it. I want to do it. You get to take a partner with you and you get to take limited parts, whatever can fit in the back of a little trailer, and off you go. So it is pretty exciting. I do want to do it someday, but it's a big dedication, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is. And my brother actually attended the one at the Tri-State Raceway this morning, and it's definitely a dedication thing, and hoping that your stuff holds together too, especially in the unlimited class.
Yeah. Yeah, the guys that they're running like the super stocks or something like that, where they just turn on the stereo and hit the air conditioner and go down there, it's a different experience for them than for what we're doing. And so we have to design everything. It's going to be the weakest part that's going to leave you from making a full run. And with the car in my background here, maybe I can let you see a little bit of it. The engine's out of it right now, but it becomes a skeleton where there's nothing left of it other than frame rails. And everything is built strong, but it's light. And so it's not really like robust like you would normally see in your everyday car. So you can't pick up these parts typically at O'Reilly's. So you're left on the side of the road trying to, negotiate whatever went wrong. And it could be a spindle, it could be a radiator, it could be anything. And it could just leave you out in the cold. So the reason why it's taken us so long is I want to prove everything that I know it will last and yield us, some good runs and a good time and a successful event, essentially.
At one point in time, I don't know if you changed the car to accommodate this, but at one point in time, you've built up kind of this Batmobile cover over the Olds body, but you used to run with no windows in the doors. Have you addressed that, or is it still open? And how do you deal with the buffeting at 250 miles an hour?
The bodies just doesn't have any. It's really actually pretty lucky that we don't have to put windows in it, and it's comfortable. I don't drive it. I have a driver that does it. Has a license, and I don't know for sure if I really want to do it anyway. These Pro Mod cars is what they're called, are probably some of the most violent race cars on the property, usually because they have a full suspension system, and they it's like trying to sit on top of a rubber ball and negotiate and stay on top of it as you can see what the rubber balls look like as you try to roll on down this road, and try to hold on to this thing, So doing that, it's a safety thing too, It just isn't that important to me to possibly get hurt or hurt somebody else or something like that. So I don't race the car. I'll do everything else, but I just don't race the car, and it's mostly for the facet of the safety side.
I'm with you on that one. I wouldn't trust myself in one either. You could strap me in a 15,000 horsepower unlimited tractor, and I'm ready to go. Put me in a mini rod tractor, I'm ready to go. One of those, no sir, not happening.
No.
Well, I don't know if I could straddle that drive line in a mini rod or anything else like that. I don't know how they do that.
We question them too.
But we still love them.
Yeah, we still love them. We just question them.
Absolutely. You know, like the sprint car guys, you know, it's the same thing for them. You have a certain respect for them, you know, because they have so much control over that car. It's an extension of their body and their mind, and you can just watch them. You can see their personality come right out of them, you know, once they get behind the wheel of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. I can't even think about trying to get into one of those.
So this room right here. I'm actually just got back to Dubuque, so we got the car unloaded right here. We just yanked the motor really quick so we could evaluate what we're going to do next here. And this car right here is the very first car I ever bought back in 1984. I saved up my money. I had it in there, and I bought it off the showroom floor. And ever since, I've been modifying it. So it's a 1984 Hurst Olds, and I've kept it my whole life. And I just started modifying it. And the first motor was a supercharged 500 cubic inch Oldsmobile. I drove it. It wasn't my daily driver, but I thought it was, you know. It had a 9-inch Ford rear underneath it, and it had a 4-inch turbo in it, and drove it around and enjoyed it, and just went from one stage to another. And I guess the best thing to segue to is I used to have some power boats. I still actually do. It's called the Sorceress. And doing that power boating, I had developed some good friendships along the way, back to this tractor pulling thing. And I knew enough, if I ever want to do a car, I knew how to really get the edge, if you will, because it was the people that I was surrounded with, you know, going back to like the Blackburns, they're just great people and super knowledgeable. There's another individual out of California, Shane Teckenberg, smart. Shane is one of my best friends. He's a tuner. I've known him for 22 years now. And about 10 years ago, I stopped the power boating, and I lost connection with them. And then out of the blue, I just picked up the phone and called him, and we talked for about half an hour. And then he stops and he goes to me and he says, all right, hold on a second. Why are you calling me? And I said, well, I want to build a car. And he said, F yeah. He goes, I want to be on board. It's going to be world class. It's going to be badass. And we're going to do it for this and this. And that started the journey 8 years ago to where we're at right now. We have a lot of titles with this thing, and we're super competitive with it. And I won't stop until we have all the titles.
That's awesome.
Currently, right now, isn't it known as the world's fastest street car?
It is. No, and let me set the table for that. There's a guy in England that made one pass that's like 2.5 miles an hour faster than we are. So we're the second fastest, but we're the fastest in North America. And this gentleman in England, his car was tuned by the tuner, my best friend, Shane Teckenberg. So Shane has the number 1 and 2 car, and that's for the fastest street-driven car in the world. So we're the second fastest in the world. We're like the second quickest in the world as well. But the other guy that has this quick pass, his name is Tom Bailey, and he is the one that is the brainchild behind Sick Week, which is happening. And Tom is a great guy and a good friend, and we've raced before, and we drink beer together. And Tom's got a badass hot rod, so he does the drag and drive events a lot. And he really wants me to do it, and I'm going to do it. I'm just not ready. And what's hard on me is that I'm not the driver, so I have to go along and work on the car, but I'm not going to drive it. So I have to find somebody that'll drive the car and work on the car and do this for 5 days with me, and put up with my stinky, you know, whatever it would be, my stinky socks, and live out of a suitcase for 5 days. So, you know, and really, you're going to test each other because you're going to be tired, you're going to be cranky, and there's going to be bad moments, and you better be good friends, because at the end you might not be, you know.
You're gonna have to smooth things over. It seems like a lot on these events too. You got to smooth things over with hotel staff to fix cars underneath their entryway there where there's lights.
You'll be taking parts into their dishwasher and they're not looking. You're trying to wash it parts in there. So yeah, you probably won't be invited back, but it's a pretty cool thing. We do want to do it. So back to the whole Shane thing, that when we did this car and designed it, I designed the body and all that, and we had to go over to Greenfield, Indiana, to a guy over there that can do carbon work. And so we welded this whole metal thing together and made it look the way we wanted to. And then they did a cast on it, a fiberglass mold, if you will. And then with that mold, we make carbon fiber bodies. So there's been a couple bodies that made of this already. So the whole body, probably weighs a few hundred pounds is all it does. The whole front end opens up so I can just hit a button. So I can get to the motor on my own, and there's a backup camera on here. There's navigation. There's cup holders. There's all kinds of stuff. There's just not air conditioning. There's 2 seats, and the whole idea is to be able to drive it down the street. It is street legal. We have 2 exhaust systems here, and I'll spin it around real quick without boring everybody. So what you're going to see first of all is the large parts turbocharger. Now, these turbochargers really haven't been ran on a car before, and we're probably the first guys that ever do this. And what I mean on a car before, these are 114 millimeter turbochargers. Nobody's ever really made anything that large. So they're 4.5.
Not as twins.
Nope, not as twins. So we never, and there's no reason for it either, because nobody really goes out to hunt for world records. But what we're after the world's fastest car, period. We don't care if it's street driven or not. And right now, the world's fastest pass is by Shane Tuckenberg in a car in Bahrain that ran 278 miles an hour. So that's what we're really after. So that's why we keep going after these horsepower numbers in the dyno. And that's the whole thing. That's, my thought is to have the fastest race car, but also be able to drive it to the event. So I think it'd be really cool to be able to pull up to the racetrack, drive it to the racetrack, have the stereo system running, and pull it right up to the line, turn the stereo off, and then make a pass that's probably faster than anybody else in the property. I think that'd be kind of fun. So these are the turbochargers right here when we're running racing. And what some people might not know, I can't see this in my viewfinder, so hopefully you'll be able to find this. We rotate these bullhorns to get more downforce or less downforce. And right now they're cocked back at about a 45-degree angle because we don't want to blow holes in the ceiling, literally. So we had to cock them back. And so what we do is we take these elbows off right here, and then we have an exhaust system that goes down this rocker plate underneath this titanium here, and it exits right out here. And so that's what we call a street mode. We put a larger radiator in it when we go street racing or street driving. And then here is the fuel cell. And I so hope that you guys are catching this because I can't tell.
Yeah,
no, we can see it.
You're doing incredibly well, actually.
So this is the fuel cell that goes in the back of the car. It has its own sending in it we know the fuel level because we have to know how we're doing. It's got its own electric pump in it. So we drop that in the back. So this is all real quick. We take it all out for weight, and then we put so we can race and make the best pass possible. Or maybe we can be so good at someday that we can leave all that in, just run the larger radiator, keep that tank in there. It's probably not as safe because it would be empty, and just leave all this extra weight and still be impressive. That would really be cool. Obviously, here's the headers. Not too unordinary. They're 2.5-inch primaries. And what you see of this is sticking out. You don't see this in other motorsports genres. So we use electronics because we're allowed. This is what they call lambda sensors. So we look at the air-fuel ratio in each cylinder, and then collectively, when they come together, we have another one in the collector. So there's 10 of those. Here's something that's pretty cool. I know I'm getting in the weeds, but this is something you'll never hear of anywhere other than maybe an OEM factory or a Formula One or something like that. I'm going to try to show it to you in the heads. And what it is it's a cylinder pressure sensor. It's not laying there right now. It goes right in here in this little hole right here. And it's about 2.5 millimeters. And what it does is it reads the cylinder pressure as the engine's running. So we can look at the power output of this car while it's driving down the street or on the dyno or wherever else. I'm looking for these sensors and where they put them. So each sensor is $4,000, and there's 8 of them, and then you have to have the software and the amplifiers to deal with it. But so when we go in these dyno cells, we can see what's happening in the combustion process as they're running. So when we're fine tuning this thing, we're really getting good at it. Oh, here's a little cool thing. Here, I'll spin over here. Sorry, guys. This is the intake manifold, so there's a lot going on there. I'm still looking for those cool.
While you're looking for that, what engine management system are you running in the car?
Great question. It's made by Motec.
Heck yes.
Motec, and it's not a user-friendly system. There's so many layers to it. There's a lot of better systems out there for the novice, if you will. This is like something that you really got to get into and stay with it. And you got to have a pretty tough stomach to put up with it. And that's how I met Shane. Actually, when I was doing the boat stuff, it was just a big screw supercharged 600 cubic inch Chevrolet, and I knew carburetor wasn't working because at the time in the late 90s, to have a powerful gasoline engine, or on racing fuel anyway, if you had 1,000 horsepower, you had a really powerful motor. Well, that wasn't good enough for me, so I kept playing with it with the help of Fred Manley in Chicago, and I started this electronic stuff, and back is at least 26, 27, 28 years ago. And that's where I came across Motec, and I had to pirate it because they didn't make it for the marine industry. They didn't make it to have it supercharged. They didn't make it for multi-layer. They didn't do all that. So on the top of the blower, we had one set of injectors on top of the blower. Then we put some in the bottom. We played around with that. So I learned enough about it to be dangerous. And then that's how I met Shane when Motec came to me and said, you know what, you probably need some help here, young man. And I said, I sure do. And that's how, ever since, we became friends. And then he really took over since then. So what you're looking at, everybody, here is 4 injectors. There's a row of 2 up here and 2 down below. The purpose of having 4 injectors is to be able to run methanol. You utilize so much of it that you have to have the quantity of it, but then we have to have the finite capability of driving it on the street. So we need to have it, it's not just a wide open throttle and turned off. It's got to have the capability of being idling and being docile in the traffic. And that's why this is so complicated, that intake manifold. I'm kind of looking around here for some other stuff. And, well, obviously we're just getting into the motor. So we have about 90 poles on the dyno with this engine right here. We're just taking it apart. So you guys are seeing more than anybody else has ever seen here. And here's the heads, and we torched the heads. We knew we're hurting it. We torched the heads pretty bad. So that's what happened in the last run here. We're right at about 5,000 horsepower when we're doing that. And we had to find out where the edge was, and we knew we were about done with it. And that was it. So we're just taking it all up. The rods are still kind of okay, but we didn't expire anything in a bad way. So here's the rest of it. Here's all the heat that we're putting into it. So anyway, that's a lot of power when you're talking about, that's at the hub, you know what I mean? And the torque converter was slipping a couple percent. So yeah, it was a lot going on. I have a lot to talk about, don't I?
No, it's all good, man. We want to hear it. So I see, I've got a lot of, well, I wouldn't say I have experience, but I run around a lot with the diesel drag race guys, and they have really benefited in I'll say the last 4 years from their experience with Motec and the Bosch system, depending on who you're aligned with, and the engine management capability that the spark plug guys have had for so long is really driving their knowledge now over on the smoke side. I'm curious, something that I saw in the car, I didn't see that you had e-gates on the wastegates yet. Is that something that is on the radar? But I also know you're not running drive and boost pressures that the diesel guys necessarily are.
So we have electronic wastegates.
Oh, you do? Okay, yep.
We have those there. Then we also have electronic blow-offs.
Yep.
So we can monitor them both. We can do it both ways. It depends if you want. They both have ultimately almost the same result, but in drag racing, you don't get a chance to be late with anything.
Right.
It's so unforgiving. So you gotta pick the quickest reacting, consistent, choice, because it's got to keep you the problem is that taking 4,000 or 5,000 horsepower, and the car weighs 2,550 pounds, so we're exactly two horsepower per pound. You change one thing, it'll ultimately probably inadvertently will change a lot more than that. And so you got to be so consistent with it. So when you make that choice, you change it, you for sure, in your data that was the right change. You know what I mean? So you got to be really careful that it's not such a big balance change that it's moved the needle on 5 different genres, and now you don't know what it was, and now you're lost. You know what I mean? So you never can make an improvement. So, yeah, this is a tough thing when you get to this level to make this all happen.
Yeah, I think people don't necessarily realize we talk about, we've thrown the number around, okay, 5,000 horsepower. You're not going into the beams and then smacking 5,000 horsepower down the driveline right away. There's ramps that come in, and if you didn't, you'd just strike the tires and it'd be a 1320 burnout. There's a lot that goes into finding that razor's edge to walk.
That's correct. So what to help out some of the listeners here too. So we have a linear actuator here in the shock, so we know how much the suspension's moving. But we have one more thing on here that is pretty cool. And I'm probably going to oversimplify it just for the purpose of the conversation. This is a laser. Can you see what I'm pointing to? It's a laser beam.
Yeah. Yep.
And there's one of these located in front of the car and one in the back of the car. So within a thousandth of an inch, the computer knows where the attitude of this car is at as it relates to looking at the blacktop. So knowing where it wants to be in its ride height, and it's got its X and Y, yaws into it, and it knows, the G meters. It knows the attitude of the car. So once it leaves, the car is smart enough that it will add and take away power according to what the tune-up is and what he wants for wheel speed at the time. So, and sometimes it's all the time it's a multitude of probably 100 calculations. The tire speeds as it relates to the land speed, the height of the front end off the ground, maybe. Let me see. Of course, what your G-force is like, and it's going to look at that and it studies it at 33,000 times a second, and it comes up with a formula, and that's what it is at that point in time. So we let go of the button on this thing. We're probably going to move it around quite a bit, but we let go at about 4,200 RPMs, and typically around 15 to 18 pounds of boost. Now we've been working on the rear suspension a lot. We're going to probably be able to give it a little bit more beans like that. Some of these guys are at 5,000 or 5,000 RPMs, but you're letting it go. You're monitoring, because anything more than that, you're just going to you're striking the tire too hard. You never want to have the car hook up 100%. So people think that you want that tire stuck and just stay stuck. Well, they'll shake the tire. You actually want the tire to slowly spin a little bit faster than what you are going on the track. So it's always spinning just a little bit. Isn't that crazy?
It's something that the science behind big tire racing, I think, is such voodoo. Well, and so is radial. I'll say for both sides, there's so much that's not understood by the casual fan. When you go from pre-stage to full stage, your driver, is he going in on a bump button or foot braking it in? Think we lost him.
Right when it was getting good.
I know, right?
This thing over. If anybody watching this, he has a YouTube channel where they go over the course of time and how they built this car and the evolution it's gone through. It is utterly unbelievable. And
yes,
the engine program and the engine, like the design of the engine that they're trying to do.
We haven't even gotten into that part of what the base engine is.
Yes, it is. He was showing us before the show. It is utterly insane.
You can tell from the heads, there's a lot going on. This isn't a Hemi. It's not a Chevy. It's the Sorceress.
Mm-hmm.
They got some stuff going on there. Yeah, I hope he can get back in, because I was really digging where we were going.
Oh,
I was nerding out.
he has been on the forefront with this engine program, and he's definitely said hell on help from Josh and Terry. The heads have been up there how long, and
Yeah.
the crossover is just insane.
The car he mentioned that he's going after over in I don't know if it was Bahrain or Qatar. Where that was. Qatar, yeah. I want to say it was like a Lexus body with
it was the Econo Racing team with the white Lexus.
Yeah, the white Lexus, and the engine in that thing was like their own voodoo Hemi billet thing over there that they developed that was turboed to the moon.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a few years ago now. I mean, that was like pre-COVID. It's been a while since that went down.
About 7 years now is when that last was broke.
Yeah, I'll be honest and say I would love to go over there. There are plenty of NHRA guys, maybe don't talk about it, that go over in the wintertime for drag racing in the Mideast. I'd love to go even just for a weekend and just take it in and see it. I know they're welcoming to Westerners to see this. And I think it'd be cool. They do have something going on there. And, racing is a universal language. It doesn't matter where you're from. Doesn't matter what you're about. We can find commonality. We can find common ground and be people together. And I really appreciate that about the sport and what we get to be a part of.
Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised also with the record he's going at is Moyer's for the quickest too, because Moyer running at 5:14 in the quarter, and he may even let off. So who knows how fast that actually was supposed to go.
Yeah, that was a rip. No doubt that was a rip. It's going to be fall before we see that again because weather is just not going to cooperate now. It's too hot.
I know.
To get the track conditions to do something like that.
Even today, like where my brother was at over Tri-State Raceway, it was hot today. I mean, it was 88 degrees actual temperature. The humidity was up. Doug Cook, Motion Racehorse, was the fastest out of them all. He was only 702 at 215 miles an hour.
Gotcha. That's with the Nova, right?
Yes, it is. The Gray Nova.
Yeah.
So
it'll be interesting to see. We're headed into the hot part of the year, and I know for my next drag race coming up here in 4 weeks or whatever it's going to be, I would say I'm not expecting like new records like we had at Indy 8 days ago or whatever it's been, 9 days ago. But on the other hand, when we were there last year, guys were flying down beach bends. So, I mean, it is possible. If Mother Nature just gives you some cloud cover, you can fly. And it's just, can you smack the tune up that Rob was talking about and have your baseline, have your ducks in a row and be able to do it. Anybody can just, expert up arrow manipulation in the computer, but that doesn't mean it's going to stick it.
Right. Yeah, it definitely takes some magic to do it all. I'm going to be very curious and excited to see what his program does. I know they've been in development of this particular engine setup for years now. Yeah. And once they get all their ducks in a row, it is going to be chaos, but control chaos.
Yeah. If you haven't, I believe it's, let me check this. I believe it's the Sorceress is the YouTube channel for them.
I think you're correct on that.
I'm going to look here right now, but they went through a very extensive hub dyno testing session. Yeah, Sorceress, not the Sorceress, just Sorceress. Last month, 2-day testing on the hub dyno with the car, and had to change the engine out and just chasing problems. Never really got it to its full potential, but just it's learning. Because they have a combo that no one else does. They're doing something that no one else has ever done. And this is part of the growing pains in the learning. Even though the car has been in existence for as long as it has, they still have to learn because you can't call Proline, you can't call Steve Morris, you can't call Brad Anderson to figure this out. Even though they've got the development partnership with Blackburns have never built a drag car Chevrolet based engine. Right. It's not their purview. So it's just different.
But Josh is gonna try like hell.
Oh yeah, and he's I'm sure it is really exercising his curiosity, and it'd be fun to throw him the link tonight and get him in here and get his take on this if he's free. But I'm sure he's busy with customers getting ready for Hutch. But yeah, it's just it's cool.
Absolutely. A question I had for him was what he planned on doing. I know he said he's trying to go after records, but if he's trying to go after the Midwest Pro Mod Series, if he's able to run that at all, do something like a drag and drive or do an event such as that, or what the actual plan is for the car, because it can land multiple categories.
Sure. Yeah, it can. I want to say when he set that 260, that was I believe it was a PSCA event out at Las Vegas when he did that. And, it's a cool venue. I'd love to go out there and see some of the racing that goes on there. I'd love to see the car turn up at import versus domestic, Haltech import versus domestic in Maryland this fall. That event turns into a home run derby, and it's been on my radar for years. And actually, I need to check and see when that is. I might go this year just to take in the atmosphere there. It seems like everybody has so much fun, and really, like, if you want a reason to study Spanish and learn how to speak it, do it to go to that race, because every single guy who seems to be there from Puerto Rico and any place else they come where they speak Spanish primarily, they seem like they're having so much fun, and it's just infectious what they're doing. It's really cool, and I love that about that.
They come there to have a good time, but they also come there to whip.
Oh, they're serious. Yeah, they're gonna take your lunch money, but they're gonna make you feel good about it when they do it.
Yeah. Anything they've ever brought up is it's been chaotic, it's been interesting, it's been really fast.
Yeah.
And that's definitely a bucket list event. I mean, for anybody that's interested in motorsports to go to, bar none.
Cody, I know you're watching. Let's see if we can figure that one out, maybe, instead of doing like NHRA this fall.
Yeah, import versus domestic could be very, very cool. And especially with the turbocharger manufacturers that we deal with on a daily basis, Hartz, Apex, and maybe even Weimer, who knows, being more involved in the racing world, especially in the Apex side. They're involved with the front wheel drive cars. Hartz, especially on Rod's car, bunch pro mods too. It's we're on the up and up there too. So the crossover is becoming more and more prominent.
Yeah, for sure. It's cool. It's a bummer we can't get Rod back in here. This kind of sucks.
I know. I think his internet went completely out. I haven't been able to get any contact with him at all. But I guess we can move on because there's another multi-turbo thing new I kind of want to talk about too.
Okay, let's do that. Yeah.
As many as you know, there's been kind of rumor about a new diesel super. It's not a new diesel super, but it's a newer build of a diesel super. Degenhardts this weekend are hoping to debut the newer version of Degenhardt. People in the past have been asking why they sold the hoods, why they're on pull-off, such and such, this and that. Well, the hoods went south, and the new ones are on it. Tractors started. So they're hoping to be out this weekend, and it's already been said on another show. It's going to be 88 series sheet metal. We've been told that we can talk about it. So it's going to be a very interesting but cool-looking tractor.
There is, if you look at, if you look in the right spot, I'll say on Facebook, the right shop photos, you can kind of see it in the background.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also the videos of I have gotten, and I can't say the other tractor that's in the shop that's going to be coming back, but there's a lot of cool stuff coming out of it.
Yeah, including the guy who owns the shop will be hopefully coming back out this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's enough clues. You ought to be able to put that one together.
Yep. Also, another new diesel super that was in a for sale ad of a pro stock. Do with that what you will. You can go look at the for sale ad. That should be out later this summer, hopefully.
Oh, I missed that. I missed that one.
Yeah, it's of a Case IH 240 pro stock. There's something sitting in the background. It's a new diesel super sitting back there. So
that on pull off maybe?
No, it's on Facebook.
Oh, all right, never mind. I'll be digging for a month of Sundays to try to find it on there.
Oh geez, what else do I have on my agenda for tonight? I know that Baraboo had their benefit pool. The Calcutta auction live broke their previous record. I don't know if anybody here is from Wisconsin or was at the benefit pool in Baraboo that was there, but I was told that it broke over 75,000
Wow.
at the event. So if anyone can confirm that, that'd be cool. Hey, we got Rod back. Rod can hear us.
Hey, there he is.
You think I'd charge my phone once in a while?
Oh, yeah. Live streaming like this kind of takes some battery power.
Boy, was I wound up. I was just talking to a bunch of thin air. My phone just went dead. I had no idea. Or you guys just turned off the live feed to me or something, right?
No.
We're not quite that nefarious.
No. Where were we at in the conversation? Because you just said you torched the heads, and from there on out, we really didn't catch much.
Right. So we torched the heads. We knew where the line was at, and with alcohol, I would say the lower your static compression ratio is, probably the bigger window or opportunity you have to do tuning, and there's less of an edge there. So what we've always done over the years, we kept taking our static compression all the way down as low as like 7.9 to 1 on alcohol, and let the turbochargers, the turbines, do the work because they're super efficient, right? So what we've learned here now recently, that there is a floor here for our program anyway, and the flame travel is not getting to where it needs to be. The dishes and the pistons are so low that it's like a 1/4 inch down, so the flame travel is not getting across the top of the piston. There's not enough squish area in the piston, so the exhaust gases stay there and they keep regurgitating, and it hurts our burn on our cycle. So now, would this be different if we had a normal size piston? It would help a lot, but these pistons are 4.9 inches in size, so they're a pretty good size, and it's hard to get that spark across there when you're talking about this much cylinder pressure. So what we've done is we've decided now in dynoing that we're going to move back up the scale in our compression ratio, and that's what we're learning. And when we did this, we knew not to try the higher timing curve, but we had to do it. And we were done for the night. It was like almost midnight, I think, and we decided to put the bigger timing curve in it, and that's what happened, and it bit us in the ass. So, but it could have been worse.
And because you're not running like a Hemi style head, it's a wedge style head. There probably isn't the space to maybe do twin spark, right?
Correct. That's exactly right. Yeah, that would make a big difference if we could do that. So it's a 2-valve deal. Our intake valves are 2.66 in size, and I think our exhaust is 2-inch. Maybe, no, that's not true. Like 1.980 or something like that.
Gotcha.
And our camshafts are relatively small. The turbos will do all that work, and just get out of the way. Let them do their work. You know what I mean?
That brings up a fair point as well. People don't realize like they're used to like the big lumpy lopey cam. Well, that's fine naturally aspirated, but turbo, you don't have to do that.
Right. Yep. We want to live. So some of our new what generation for the motor here, we've worked with Ben Streeter at EFI University out there in Lake Havasu, and Ben's just such a good motor guru. He convinced us, where all the stuff was lacking in strength and lacking in technology because we were stuck in the 80s, I guess. But we went across the board here and we worked with Jessel and some other pretty smart people, and we have a valve train that we proved that didn't have any issues, that we didn't have anything move on us, and we were in dyno rooms now. The last 2 sessions are probably collectively about 150 dyno runs, and these are runs that we're running 3,000-4,000 horsepower every pull. And if you ever watch it, and please go to Sorceress, follow us on Facebook. But if you go and you're able to watch our dyno runs, we go and we load the turbos and we hold it there, and then we simulate the same ramp rate as we do when we're racing. So we're just not poking at it for a couple seconds to see something. We're putting it into the trenches. We're pulling it out, Matter of fact, some of the times we're doing at 2,500 RPMs because why is that important? Well, like in tractor pulling, you got to get these turbochargers that come around. And if you have no balls down low, you're going to struggle. And unlike tractor pulling, we just don't get 5 minutes to go get a beer and come to the beer stand and then watch the pull. You have 7 seconds, you get timed out.
Yes, that's true. That is true. Have your car burned down before?
Well, people try to do that, and these big turbochargers put us right to the edge, so we got to make sure we get enough mustard down there. But being that we're on water and stuff like that, we'll burn them down long before they can burn us down.
I like it.
Yep. Oh.
So are you running a turbo 400 for trans? And maybe you don't want to say, is it 2-speed, 3-speed? What do you got?
Oh, no, there's no secrets here. Back to the whole thing, like you're watching the videos. We like the people to come along on a journey with us. We're not as good as everybody else, and we're just learning like they are. And we're like you guys. It's like, hey, we're always eager to learn. Teach me, We're not the smartest guys on the planet. And we think that if somebody's coming along watching us, maybe they can learn, and maybe that's what they're struggling with. And we meet a lot of good people like this because we're honest, we're not hiding anything, and we get a lot of good feedback from it. So with that said, we've always ran what we call a quick drive, and what that is, it's a pump, and it's utilized because it's not a turbo 400. It's utilized to run the fluid in the torque converter. So that's the whole purpose of it. And behind that is a Lenco, and everybody knows what a Lenco is. And we use a 3-speed Lenco. They're custom made for us. They have some of the newer technology in these Lencos, and John Mahovitz is a good friend of us. Matter of fact, John has drove the car before in Las Vegas, and he's got a great product. So the quick drive gives us the ability to move oil pressure around, oil volume, and we can play around with that torque converter, do different things like lock it up and unlock it and stall it. We can slip it. We can do all kinds of things. So that quick drive is pretty unique. Now what we're trying out right now, what you've seen in the car before, is indeed a 400 turbo with 3-speed. And we're doing that for the simplistic part of it, where we might give up some of the tunability that quick drive has, but we're looking for some no-nonsense part of it too, So we're going to have 2 programs, because remember, if our idea is to go ahead and lay down a pass somewhere or race it and then go to an event, drive it and race it, drive it, you need some no-nonsense in that car,
Were you able to manage the quick drive through the Motec and all have the dumps controlled there and feedback right into everything else that was going on? It's
exactly right. Yep. So everything is computer controlled. So we can see what's happening and we can fine tune that. And that's part of the tune up, That when these torque converters, you can choose to run a lockup or not. They allow that in drag racing. They penalize you for having a lockup because it's an advantage. It's taking all that energy and it locks it. It'll catapult you, simultaneously. And when it does, it gives you a little bit of a jump, but it's extremely violent on stuff.
Yeah.
So what we can do is we can pulsate it a little bit, so it's not a complete lockup from, let's say if we're shifting at 8,200 RPMs, it'll pull all the way back to 6,700 RPMs faster than anything can accelerate. So when we're doing like our Spintron testing at Lake Havasu at EFI University, or when we're on our dyno, we actually do a deacceleration test too, because going backwards, once you made the power and you pull it backwards, it changes things, just like in tractor pulling. It brings an engine to its knees.
That's something that has never come up on either of the shows that I've been a part of, going back 7 years, is Spintron. Tell people what that is and what you learn from that. It's a powerful tool.
It is a powerful tool, and it's probably as powerful as an operator, I would say. There's a lot of them out there, and Ben Strader out there in Lake Havasu has developed a software where he can download your run into the Spintron, and it'll simulate exactly how it is in your machine. So for us, we'll leave at 4,200. I think, oh Lord, like in a second or 1.1 seconds, I think we're at 8,200 RPMs and we're shifting already. And so we'll simulate that, the acceleration rate then, and it pulls it back, and it goes back up, and it pulls it back, and then we can lock it up. So we have to sometimes choose where we lock it up because we don't want the front end to get too light, and because it's hard to control the car. If you're throwing the weight back and forth like that, it can throw it back on the wheelie bars, and you can lose the sense of it being straight and controllable. So you just imagine these two wheels got to drive this car perfectly straight because the wheels ain't going to coerce it either way. So this back to the Spintron. So we spent a good amount of time in there. What we wanted to do was we wanted to spin what we had, and what it does is you take your engine, and you take out of it the capability of moving air. So you take your pistons and your rods out of it, right? So you have to have a special mandrel that doesn't have the crank throws in it. So we have a straight through crankshaft. You hook up your camshaft in there so your valve train is moving. And what we try to do is, for us, we wanted to simulate valve train. So now some people might want to simulate pistons, but that'd be a lot harder to do. But we simulate the valve train movement on this thing. And this big electric motor that sits, so you bolt the block up to the electric motor. It's about 75 horsepower, and that's controlled by a computer going up and down, and it will spin your motor up like as if it's running. So what we were capable of doing, and while we're sitting in that room, the motor sounds like it's running, but it's actually not. It doesn't have air and fuel going to it, but your valves are going up and down. You can stand there and watch your valve springs moving up and down, and you can test it. So what Ben Strader does, he goes one step further. He has a laser beam, and what we did was we cut a hole in the oil pan, because you have to run oil in this to lubricate it. So you got your oil pump hooked up, your oil pan's on there, you got full of oil. So we cut a window in our oil pan, and we went all the way up, and we mounted a laser beam inside the cylinder where your piston would be. And that laser beam was measuring the valve as it's going up and down. So it can measure it within 10,000ths of an inch, right? And it can keep them cycles. And so we're reading that, we're watching it and graphing it and see what was happening. So we could look at it on a graph, and for just the simplicity of conversation, we could see that when a valve goes closed, it would bounce off the seat. So this is an inherited problem with some stuff, that they don't have the right ramp rates, right? Or it could be the springs, or it could be the spring pressures. It could be a lot of things. Maybe things are just not weighted correctly. So in this particular example, we knew the camshaft had bad ramp rates. It's old technology. We knew that the springs were not correct. We knew that the push rods are too small, and they were flinging things because they're like spaghetti noodles. So long story short, we were able to watch in there. So when the valve went closed, it would momentarily bounce off the seat and open back up. Well, if you can imagine on a 4-cycle engine what that does, it just changes everything. So you have to get your valve train calm enough so that once it's steady and happy, it'll follow the camshaft profile that you wanted it to follow. And that's a big thing we've seen there. One more thing that Ben has got. He's got a high-speed camera that's capable of over 4,000 images per second. So if you go back to Sorceress, which it's www.sorceress.rocks, or you can go just find us on Facebook and look up like Sorceress Car, you'll be able to find it. You'll be able to find slow motion video of us taking this camera and sticking it. We cut the valve cover open and sticking it and watching our valve spring going up and down at 10,200 RPMs. And the valve spring is just barely moving. You can just see it wobbling around. You can see what the oil is doing. You can see the valve cache, the lash caps, those dancing around there. It looks like they're going to come flying out. It's just crazy. It's like, oh my God, shut it off, you know?
Are you running I presume a double spring, but is it a beehive style where it narrows up at the top?
It is not a beehive style, and it is a double spring. We were running a triple, believe it or not.
Yeah.
And we took a lot of spring pressure away. And right now, I think we're running about, on the seat, I think we're running about, I can't quote it because I don't remember, but we took it all the way down to like 450 pounds. We were as high as 700.
Wow. And you're not running like super high boost pressure where you needed all that to keep it closed when it wasn't needed.
it really doesn't change much. And that's the thing where that's what I thought all along, because you have to take that and multiply it, and it really wasn't true. And Ben had to show it to us. But we run a lot of those runs when we were in St. Louis. We just left. We're at 70 plus pounds of boost, and we ran 9,200 RPMs probably half of those runs we were there. And all we had done each day, we'd check the last twice a day and to put the valve cover back on and complain that was a waste of time. And that's pretty impressive when we were there a total of 6 days.
Something that I remember that I was asking you, and unfortunately it was when your phone gave up, and that was, and this dovetails with something you mentioned in the Spintron conversation, was when you're staging the car and all the voodoo that is in the suspension of it, from pre-stage to stage, are you doing it off the button, or your driver doing it off the button, or are you foot braking it in where you don't upset it and then you go on the button for the leave?
So that's actually, you had both answers were correct. Some people do it both ways, but when you get to the Pro Mod level, it's done with a button. You just keep tapping a button, and that button you can change, how aggressive you want that to be, what it does release. So it's all done with a button. These guys, when we first built the car, I wanted to keep the Lenco, the lightning rods, because that's what the whole spoof of the Hurst Olds was. And the car is so violent that you can't drive it with one hand and be shifting it with another. You have to have both hands in the wheel until it's time to throw the parachute. And then sometimes, a lot of guys have a button on there for a parachute. They don't want to let go of it with two hands at all. And we tried that for a while. When you have two buttons on a steering wheel, believe it or not, and you could get mixed up. And the problem is with that is if you go ahead and hit the button for the parachute and it's before the time, you probably lost the race. And vice versa, if you hit the other button before, you're liable to hurt the transmission.
I can think of one Lenco vehicle left at even close to your level, and it's air shifted for just the reason you mentioned.
Yeah, and that's what we did too. And by the way, when people talk about those AirPods, they have a lot more clamping force for that Lenco with the clutches than a human's hand can do, by yanking it. And maybe it's just the speed of it. I don't know what it is, but it's a much more positive force. And of course, the pods are different sizes. So some people do the trick where you got the CS1 pods and the CS2 pods, and one's bigger than the other. So they play that trick. But there's a lot of tricks with Lenco, and everybody knows what a Lenco is just because it's that good of a product to have. I mean? Every racing genre has a Lenco in it. I even had it in my boats where it was never used before because everybody had this hydromatic transmission. I'm like, pal, I said, that 850 foot-pounds of torque ain't going to hold what I'm doing. I ain't going to do that. So I came up and I patented it. I used a 3-disc crawler and I put a Lenco behind it. And then I used an air slave cylinder to act like the clutch pedal. And this is 27 years ago, I called up Mike Sage and I said, Mike, I'm building these crash boxes and doing this and that. And first of all, I should say people do use like a Lenco that's more of an in and out box or a reverser box, right? But nowadays they use 2 and 3 speed stuff. But back then I wanted to be able to shift the boat and forward or reverse without turning off the engine. So I knew that the disc would be a thing. So I had enough macro air valves that I could stage up and I could push a button and use onboard air, and I can engage a clutch and just slide in neutral and then reverse and all that. So it's pretty slick.
Wow, that's awesome. I know you just said you kind of looking now towards the Turbo 400, but any thoughts on the new move toward Liberties?
No, we haven't. I have not had that. I'm kind of running in a small family right now. Mark Mickey is probably one of the more successful racers out there right now, and he's got such a great product. We've always ran his torque converter, and this is his 400 turbo that I'm using now, and that's what Mark uses. And I have to do it. We share information, and and I'm going to give it a try. He's not having any issues with it. It's just that you can't get in there and service it is the problem. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to probably carry a couple or a few of those just to have them for backup, because of the lack of serviceability.
I can't say you made a bad move. Mark is a genius with those, so you're in good hands.
Good product.
Yep. Sorry, Wyatt. I've been nerding, so I've been kind of monopolizing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, good thing you are, because my internet's been doing this the entire night.
Oh, has it? Oh,
yeah. So good thing you are asking this stuff. But you got anything else?
I've hit him with everything that I had planned for, and thank you, Rod, for being so forthright with everything that I've asked you.
And we've kept you longer than your time commitment we asked you to do. But I do have one final question, and it may have been asked already. I don't know. What is the final goal of the car, and where do you plan on running it this summer so that people can see you? If you plan on running it this summer, if not next year.
Well, we're going to probably pick an NHRA event. I don't know what that is. I'll have to call up Ned and see where he'll let me race at and who we can come up with. The biggest challenge on that is me to find an opponent that makes sense for an HRA, an opponent that people are going to want to come to the stands and sit down and see it, So I usually try to pick on some kind of a celebrity, and I have a couple ideas. Nothing is in stone yet, and certainly I got to run it all by Ned. The other thing is because we're so close to Cordova, kind of home track, if you will. They have the World Series, and we love to go down there. So that's always a fun thing. I'd like to send a hauler on down there, and I drive the car down there, and then I race it. So last year it's 2 years ago, because we took off last year. We were working on the engine development, and we won a couple rounds in Pro Mod down there. So it was kind of fun, and hopefully we can do that good this year if we go out and do it. So, and that's not a for sure thing either, but what we're probably going to do in the next few weeks is we're going to probably go to a track and test. And we did a lot of suspension improvements, and we want to get out there and see what this will do. The car has never been able to RPM before. It was always nosing over at probably 7,800 RPMs, which is big block Chevrolet. That's a pretty noted thing. But right now with the turbos, they keep pushing it, and it flattens over at 9,000 RPMs now. So if I throw a little more compression at it, it could probably do it better. It's got such a short stroke. It's 4 1/4. So it's a pretty efficient motor, big cylinder heads. And I think if we put a little more compression is what we want to do, it'll probably even stay healthier up there yet. So we have a nice flat line up there we can use. Probably, it's over 4,000 horsepower at $6,000 already. So from that point all the way up to 9,000, it gives us a nice wide window to do a tunability. We didn't have that before. Matter of fact, it's not fair to pick on it, but we have an old dyno run when we were down there where we had our old valve train, old turbochargers, and at 7,800 RPMs, we're 2,300 horsepower better.
Wow.
So now, like I said, that's not really fair, but I mean, if you're going to go down a track and you run it, it is fair. So I think the car is going to hustle a lot better. So to answer the last question, what we want to do is we want to finish the year out running we want to get to close to 280 miles an hour and run to a couple different events. And if we're running 280 miles an hour, we might have gotten into the 260 range, So 560 range, like a 569 or something like that. That would be sweet to get into 560s. And we want to be deep in the 270 range and maybe even have the world record at 279.
Awesome.
After Mr. Palmer wrecked the Studezilla, he reckons at this point that his quest for 300 miles an hour as a door car is over with nitro. He believes it's going to be a methanol car. Maybe not this year, maybe not next year. Is that on your radar to be that guy?
Yeah, we have enough technology that we could probably add some nitromethane to it, a mix, make it a little bit more volatile. But our next step would be is once we have our higher compression, we're going to read the heads right now. We're going to throw a little bit more compression in this thing. We think it's going to be happier yet. So now now we have, if we can go ahead and run from a 7,500 RPM to a 9,500 RPM genre, so now we can, take a little bit of the gear away from it. We have such a tall gear because we couldn't RPM this thing. It was like a fork truck, So now if we could do that, it'll hustle a little bit quicker for us. And the torque multiplier is it's got a lot more advantage to it. So maybe we can go from like a 340 or 350 gear that we're currently running into maybe like a 390 or 373 and make it hustle a little bit quicker. 300, I don't know if that's ever going to happen. But I think that working with my guys here with water injection and intercooling, I know we can be comfortable at 5,500 horsepower and make it. I'm not going to say it's going to live, but it'll be able to make a run. So if we can do that, I don't know. I've never done the math, but that's, it's probably only taking in a 280 range. It's such a long way to go to 300. It's crazy. It's like you're still probably 1,500, 2,000 horsepower away yet.
It is, and there's truth in that. But I also would suggest that, like 6 years ago, would anybody think that any of us would be here where we are with anything, and yet we are. So I mean, you just never know. It might not be 2 years down the road, but it might be 6.
Right. No, you're right. I mean, here we're looking at, I'm running as fast as Top Fuel used to run, 15 or 20 years ago,
Yeah. Yep. 100%.
260 mile an hour passes. It's like, wow.
100%. Well, I appreciate it, man. This has been awesome.
Thanks, you guys.
Rod. Rod.
We'll get a little bit of an update on it, and we'll see how it goes. And please, everybody, follow us. We have a pretty good following on Facebook, and maybe you'll be able to see the car run someday, or drive down the street. Maybe a street near you.
What an ultimate goal for the car, if it's legal for Pro Mod, would be like a World Series or Pro Mod type invite.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be pretty fun. I got to abide by the rules. So my problem with that a lot of times is something. So Midwest has got a racing series that they allow me to run in because there's rules for what I got. So we're going to run into that. We're going to run a couple races there. I don't know when I'm going to be ready. I got to find a driver, and the lighter the driver I got, the more competitive we're going to be. So we've talked to a couple people before. They're pretty busy right now, so we haven't been able to really commit to going to a couple of those races. But I know we got a hell of a good car here right now. We'd be competitive. We're not going to win, everything, but we might win a couple races where. No, I don't mean the whole event. I mean just a couple rounds. Right. I mean, so we won't be the slowest guy there. How's that?
No, I mean you've got lofty goals, but I also appreciate that you're humble and realistic about expectations of what you can accomplish. You're not saying I'm going to come out and just punch you in the mouth. Like you're gonna sneak up on it and you're gonna get there.
Right. That's right. And we got good people that believe in the same thing as I do. So
great, man. This has been awesome.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening.
All right,
Rod,
thank you. Thank you. So
I really appreciate you jumping on. I'm sorry you had to jump off so quick. We had a combine go down. I'm actually up here at the store getting a fitting for our combine. But thanks for coming on for sure.
You got it. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it.
yeah, hopefully see you down the road at the race. So see you, Rod.
You got it, guys. Thanks.
Thank you. Man, that was sweet.
I was going to say, I bet that was fun. I was enjoying it, so I had to shut my laptop pretty quick.
Well, both of you actually kind of cut out. His phone died. So
Yeah.
Oh, did it really?
Yeah.
yes, it did.
That's unfortunate.
So we kind of just like filled time with other stuff. But
Yeah.
anyway, where do we want to go from here? We kind of covered the Baraboo thing.
Yeah.
New.
Have
new
y'all
dude.
talked about U.C.C. yet?
We've not.
Charles, go.
First ever 200 mile per hour diesel pass.
Yeah, that was something special, and I'd say the right guy did it. Michael Cordova, Silent Mike, the Ninja, kind of snuck up on it. He already had the ET record at 387 from last fall. Upped the speed record. Gosh, I want to say it was on Friday. Jared Jones had it 196. He went 197. And then on Sunday, he just went 383 at 203. And I don't know that in the diesel racing world, there will be a bigger milestone to be broken. We've gone through the 3-second barrier in the last 4 years, and now 200 miles an hour. The incrementals are great, but you only get to be a 3-second vehicle one time. You only get to be 200 miles an hour one time. And to see that and to be there for it after the work that he has put in and the now 11-year journey and commitment to himself to make this happen, pretty special, and I'm very proud of him. The other major story of the weekend was rain. It rained and rained and rained and rained, and it sucked.
It helped the pulling track, though.
It did come Sunday. Yes, that's true. The sled pull track was better for the walking wounded who were still capable among the U.C.C competitors of actually going down it, which a few of them were not. Was maybe not the best sled pull to watch as a standalone. But you know what? The right guy won. And I will say that because it was kept kind of quiet throughout the weekend. It wasn't until Sunday that we kind of let the cat out of the bag what was going on. But Kenny Bruner had Turbo Tom's engine in his truck. And so in a way, the People's Champ had his revenge on that event and on the whole diesel industry. And I really believe he was smiling down on Kenny the whole weekend and made that happen. And it proved that Tom, even though he came out of a garage and did most of the work himself, he was on something. And man, if he was still here now 3 years later, what would he be showing us? Because he had the ingredients, he had the sauce, it was there, and you got to see that.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. That 200 mile an hour pass, though, going down the drag strip, Charles, I mean, that you knew that was special because, I mean, I just heard you on the call, and all of a sudden you just hear he's done it.
Yeah.
And, I mean, everybody knew that it was bound to happen at some point. I just don't know if anyone expected it to be that soon, really.
I will say that I did. If you watch the 197 pass, there was just the little tiniest hint, and actually the run before that even more so, the little tiniest hint of tire shake. And so it was just like, man, if he sticks this thing, it's going. And on the 200 mile an hour run, I actually missed that he reset the ET record. I picked it up. He was already well past the turnout when I was like, oh, he got both ends of it. I was so focused on the 200, but and then also trying to catch up with what Maddie had going on in the other lane. So I did miss it, but so I kind of blew the call a little bit, but it was cool. I'm proud to have been a witness to it, and I make no claim to the history of it all. That accolade belongs to him, but I guess I'm kind of proud that I'm a part of that memory for a lot of people now. That's cool.
Do you think the next milestone in diesel drag racing now is a diesel pro mod in the threes, or is it something else with the dragsters?
Yeah, it's going to be. They're a tenth away now. The pro mod record is down to a 4:10 and a 4:10.1. It had been a 4:10.7, and Johnny Gilbert and the Fire Punk guys have both been there. It's coming. It's just, and it's. I've had this conversation a lot, and I think if Rod was still on here, he would agree. It's something about drag racing where you do it that first time, and then the floodgates open, and all of a sudden everyone can do it, and you can do it over and over and over. And it takes that one shot and the data that comes from it to go, all right, now I have my new baseline where I can do this.
Yep, absolutely. It's the evolution of everything right now in motorsports has just been crazy. It's been cool to see. It's just what's next, because we're always looking for that next barrier to break.
Yeah. I'll go off on a tangent here. That's something that I would argue, and I have made the case on shows in the past, that sled pulling actually deprives us in that regard, because it is abstract. Every night it's different. Every class is different. The sled gets changed. It's arbitrary. So you don't have that record number. There is no ET, there is no speed, there's no distance record. There's no world record for furthest pull ever. It's not a part of the sport. It's very arbitrary. So we're denied that, but by being denied that, it now turns the focus back onto what is the show? What is the entertainment value of it? What am I seeing? And am I being astonished by what I'm seeing in the absence of numbers? It's like no prep, no time racing. Everybody loses their damn mind over Sesame Street racing. I think it's stupid, but there is a direct corollary to sled pulling with it that I need to get my head around, because people lose their mind over that style of drag racing. Well, sled pulling is no different. You're deprived of that. You get a green flag. That's it. And a win at the end of the class. Somebody knows who won. It's how far you went. And so it does boil back down to, am I being astonished by what I'm seeing? And are the classes, the mix that we've got, providing that sort of excitement for my $20 to get in, or for me to key the mic on or whatever. And when I key the mic on, don't get me wrong, I'm going to make it sound exciting because that's my job first and foremost. That's what I'm there for. That's what I'm there to do. I'm going to talk about pedal pulls as if Unlimiteds were coming down the track, because they deserve that. But for the fan, they have to make that distinction for themselves. And right now, I don't know. I'm a little worried.
Yeah, and there's been this narrative as of late, as whereas polling is the greatest motorsport on earth, and it's hard to argue that, because, like you said, it's like no prep racing, no time racing. It's arbitrary. There's no records to be broken. For us, it's a horsepower record for what we get on the dial, but we're still aiming at that same thing. We want to beat those guys in our class.
Yeah,
there's no. Yes, there's like a record for how many wins in a row on a national level. Yes, there can be that, or
sure,
a national title.
Sure.
But that's over the longest period of time. But like you said, what can you get for that $20? In the drag racing world, there's records that can be broken all the time. Different classes.
Yeah.
All over the place. So
totally agree. And we could go way in the weeds, but we don't necessarily need to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Charles,
that's why I think just drag racing has the edge on polling. So
yeah. But you guys were talking about how much motorsport is actually changing. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Okay.
So
go ahead. No, I can't.
Internet is not on our side tonight. I will tell you that.
Yeah, internet is not interneting.
Morgan, my brother, has a good point here. When he was at Sick Week today, the 850 class, there was 3 850 flats just today.
Awesome.
So
that's awesome.
It was. I drove by a couple times today, and it was a very, very packed crowd. So.
Oh, I just saw this. Scrolling, looking for anything extra. Tonight at the Tigers game, Detroit Tigers baseball game, first pitch was thrown out by top fuel racer Doug Kalita. That's cool.
That's cool. That's really cool. I guess we can go off. I think we can go on our polling tangent a little bit here, because there are a couple new vehicles we can go and discuss.
Sure. Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's see if I can get this here.
Whoever's TV or radio's in the background, we're on the verge of getting demonetized here.
That'd be mine. Anyway, go on, something, Charles. I'm having trouble presenting this.
All right, fair enough. So this weekend, I guess I'll go into the where we at.
I'm back.
Yep. All right.
Welcome back. I'm back, by golly. It's not the internet.
I'll save the where are we going this weekend thing till the end. We should probably do that then.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm literally just bouncing around like a fitting off a combine quick.
All right. Well, you're back, and now Wyatt's back. This is yeah. Internet sucks tonight.
Well, yeah, it's that too. But yeah, man, we we're leaving out something though too. I mean, this is our 1-year anniversary show for us.
It
We've
is.
officially been around a full year. And I mean, it's just, you guys were talking about like how motorsports is changing all the time. We're just fortunate enough to be able to cover it to an extent and get to do these interviews like we've been doing. But that interview right there automatically goes into the top for me for the interviews that we've done. I don't know what some of y'all's favorite ones were over the last year or some of the favorite things that we've done, but if we want to go into that real quick before we go into like where everything going on for the weekend in vehicle reveals, we can.
I will tell you what my favorite interview is. It's just like my favorite event. It's the next one.
That's true. I think for us, I think the opportunity for Shane at least to go on and experience PRA racing, get invited, that was probably one of the top ones.
Yeah, I mean, just think about like
it was kind of cool. I'm kind of glad he got to do it. Jealous.
Yeah. The things that like the people that we've interviewed and the stories that we've been able to tell over the past year the legends that don't pull anymore, and it's just really something I never thought we'd get the chance to do. I mean, we've done Mr. Tim Engler, Carl Smith. We kicked it off the whole thing with the Larry Roberts and Big Toy Pulling team. I mean, that's kind of where that whole Legend series kind of started, and we had Mr. Gardner Stone. I mean, it's crazy that we've only been at this year and we've gotten to do some of the interviews that we've done, and we're nowhere near done at all.
Nope, just getting started.
I will say, though, my favorite non-interview that we did, though, was probably the night that we were putting the National Farm Machinery Show list together. I think it was like 5 days before Christmas, and then the list ended up coming out the next night. And I was rewatching it some last night where like all of the pullers were just texting us in like, hey, we're in, hey, we're out type of thing. Yeah. I thought that was probably one of my favorite shows that we've done too. It's
a validation of the resonance that you've generated within the community that you can garner that sort of feedback in real time. I don't know that had that similar show been done on Sidetrack, I don't know that we would have got the same response that you guys did. So kudos to you for the platform that you've built for yourselves. You're to be commended.
Yeah. And Charles, don't sell yourself short though, dude. You're just as much a part of this with us as anybody. I mean, you've been with us from the get-go.
I'm just along for the ride, man. You guys built this. It's the credit belongs to you. It sincerely does.
Yeah. But we kind of need to talk about some other motorsports events that went on as a whole this past weekend.
Sure.
We had the Eldora Dream. Davenport just said he's taking home $100,000. He didn't care what. He started on the pole and he pretty much led a good portion of the race. Bobby Pierce got second again. I mean, he's having a good year too. I'm not going to lie about it. I kind of reached out to Mr. Davenport to see if we could get him, but I bet his emails have been so flooded since he won.
I'm sure.
But that was a lot of fun to watch. I mean, why have you guys talked about Farley yet?
We have not.
No, Farley, one session happened. It was great to see everybody there. Great numbers. It sucked. It downpoured Saturday morning. If it would have let off maybe by 11 o'clock, we would have had it. It was not stopping. There's standing water. I mean, but we had a great show there Friday night and no real breakage or nothing. So we were going to have a ton of numbers back for Saturday night.
Which is rare in itself. I mean, for a weekend hook like that to pretty much get everybody back, that's, it's always the concern about the Saturday night. Is everybody going to return? And I think the vast majority of them we're going to be able to. That's cool.
Yep. Like Brenton commented, Yankee Blue is back. He's back full time now.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Traveling out of Foster's trailer. Yep.
And Cody is a good, interesting point here when you talk about drag racing. To then go to drag racing, you've seen them. I go to drag racing to see the numbers. Not that I remember all of them, but that's what I want to see as part of the event. And I think that needs to be more apparent in polling.
Yeah. So let's go back on that for a second. There's something that I do, and actually Stainless Diesel has now picked up on it as well. I started doing this, gosh, it's been, well, in July, it'll be 2 years ago now. What I'm offering is a bonus for a perfect reaction time. So whatever your class is, if it's index, ET, pro class, you got to do it in eliminations. I don't care if you win or lose the round, but if you cut that 000 light, I'm peeling $100 out of my wallet and I'm paying you for it, because anybody can do it. It doesn't matter how much money you spend. I don't care how much experience you've got. It's something that's attainable by you as a driver. It's not dependent on your crew chief, how big your wallet is. If you backed it out of some $1 million stacker, I don't give a shit. You have that opportunity to do that. And Stainless has picked it up as well, and they're offering $100. I believe it's $100 as well. But there's counts during qualifying. I don't make mine count during qualifying because, especially this year now for the series, even the index classes, except for ET, we ladder you. You're on a 16 vehicle ladder when it's time to race. I don't want you worried about your reaction time. I want you to get qualified. I want you to get through that gauntlet and be ready to race, and then do it when it matters against the guy in the other lane, not just against yourself trying to set that time. And I don't know how to translate something like that back to polling, because it's arbitrary. There's no equivalency. I don't know how to incentivize somebody for doing something regardless of class and doing it perfectly. I don't know how to do that.
There's not.
Exactly.
Because, I mean,
and that's where I
so
think the
many
relevancy
different
of
people-
polling is lacking right now. Whereas drag racing, you can relate to it all.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, just polling, it's just different from that. I mean, you obviously do something right if you win, right? But we're based off of footage.
Yeah, we are. And that's always been a hallmark of my intro. And I will say another show has co-opted what I've said for 15 years to open my programs about that there's no practice, no qualifying, no pit stops, no elimination rounds. You just have one shot to do it, and there is no clock against you. You get all the time in the world, and there's no right way to do it, but there's 7 million wrong ways to do it.
Yep.
Is it safe to say, though, that practices may be becoming a little more of a prevalent thing, though, with all the test and tune sessions you see before the big circuits start?
Yes,
it's definitely there. It's definitely there.
Yes, and with the people who can afford to do so, owning sleds and private tracks, let's be honest, they're out there. There are people who have that availability to them, and more power to them. If I had the money to do it, I'd be doing it. I'd have an indoor one. I'd be pulling every goddamn day, guaranteed. So I'm not hating, but yeah, it is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just something that's it's just kind of making its way in my opinion. I mean, you see more and more of those popping up around
Yeah.
the early spring. I mean, why you guys went to one? Simons were there with their semi.
Technically, you could say two, because Polar Championship is not a point sook, but it's still competition.
Right. Actually, it's funny in bringing that up. As much as I see the prevalence of them here locally, anyway, the Thumb Tractor Pulling Association, kind of where I got my start, they used to always have a test and tune, always, like late May, early June, years and years and years. They don't do it anymore. It's been, I want to say it's been 8-10 years since the last one. It's been a minute. And I don't think West Michigan, same. They used to do one as well. And I don't think they do it anymore either. It's just up here, it's not a thing any longer.
The thing for us down south, though, our points hooks are just becoming further and further and further south for us. And we start in March in Louisiana.
Yeah. Well, you got the availability to do so, and I don't begrudge you that. I mean, we
No.
still haven't really. I think last week was kind of where it kicked off up here finally, because
Yeah.
you try to do anything in May, I mean, you're 50-50 or worse, that's going to rain on you.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you something else too that's kind of becoming more prevalent. I mean, we've had this discussion amongst ourselves, is pullers going where they want to go and see how they match up against different people. And I
Yeah.
think it's a great thing. I really do.
I think for the bigger events, these more established events, the ones with history, they're going to thrive on that. I'm concerned about I'm being unfair, but I don't know how else to say this. The other events, like it's a very poor characterization on my part, and I haven't reasoned my thoughts out necessarily based on your prompt, Shane, but points chasing, I don't feel has the cachet associated with it that it used to. And so chasing those points just doesn't resonate or ring the way that it used to for people. And they're going to go where they want to go. They're going to go where their friends are going. They're going to go where they think the competition is the best. They're going to go where they think the purse is the biggest. And so I don't know how we get back to that, because the one thing that has gone right in terms of chasing, particularly a national championship, and I will say this about all organizations really, is that they've streamlined it. And the hook numbers are down. You don't have to go out 30 times anymore. You can go out 12, 13 weekends, double hook them each, and that's it. That'll get you a national championship. But it doesn't seem like anybody cares.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. And here's the thing. I mean, this has even helped for us in our hometown. I'll fully admit we have people committed to come down to Hopkinsville this year from up north that have never been down here. And it's from having those discussions in the wintertime when you see them somewhere like, hey, come down and pull with us. They're like, well, we're off that weekend. Yeah, we'll be down there. But they're still maintaining their points chase too. I think it's really exciting for the crowds in the area to see the new group. But that's just me.
Where I do see an emphasis on points chasing seems to be your regional groups. Something that's a little bit more, I don't want to say local, that's not fair, but state level or smaller, where they're not traveling a whole bunch, and they may not be able to. That's a lifestyle thing. It's an opportunity for a guy who has to work that 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, can still go after something and call themselves a champion. To them, there is importance for it. There is an emphasis for it, and they will chase it. But what I also see within that is a boundary. This is our sandbox mentality, where when anybody outside comes in, they don't necessarily welcome them. It's side eyes across trailers and what the hell is he doing here and that kind of thing. I see that a lot, and I don't like it.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, I just like the new competition for it. Like I said, I mean, Charles, you're right. I mean, I've never had that reaction ever I've went to a pool, personally. I mean, like, if I see somebody there that's kind of out of the area, it's like, well, what in the world? What are y'all doing down here this time of the year?
I've never been that way either. But then that's also, again, it's back to what my job is when I'm there. I make a big deal of it. Hey, this guy, we don't get to see him that often. Crowd, get on your feet. Welcome this guy. Look who came in to play with us tonight. This is cool, to have this guest amongst us. But back in the pit area, that's not necessarily the same reception that goes on.
Yeah. And I think generally over time, I think it's becoming a little more different, because they're not there to run points. They're just there to see how they match up, so it doesn't affect the points race as much. And as long as that doesn't happen, I don't think they're as mad about it.
I don't think that's ever necessarily been a concern, because if they're not a member and they're not chasing points, like, they weren't going to ever get assigned points for their finish. It was, they're taking our purse money. That was always kind of the attitude that I picked up on.
Yeah, you're right. But I really admire the guys' attitudes. I mean, I'm not going to exactly say who it is because they haven't confirmed whether they're coming yet or not, but they flat out threw down the gauntlet to me and said, we just want to see what we can do against Mid-South tractors. He said, we run up here all the time. He said, we've never had these tractors on any Southern dirt. He said, we just want to see what happens.
And that's cool. I'm all about it. I like it. I like when guys travel, when they cross over. I try to be as welcoming and inviting to anybody out of state to come up here and hang out with us for a weekend and show them around. I don't know. I don't necessarily always feel like they get the welcomingness that they deserve for making the effort to come up. I mean, they do for me, but like, I'm just one guy. I can't be back in the pit area glad handing and showing them around and barbecuing and cooking their dinner and, whatever, politicking for them the whole night. Right. I can't. It behooves the rest of the crew that's a part of that group for that night to roll out the red carpet and welcome them in. And I'm not saying it never happens, I don't mean to pound on it too hard or make it sound that it's more than it is. It's because it's not. It's just a little bit of anecdotal evidence that I do see. I do see some pushback against it. Not always, but I do. And I would challenge competitors to just be a little more open, be a little more welcoming. You don't always have to slam your hood shut when anybody walks by, or like you've got the secret sauce. Like, dude, I don't know what your cam timing is. I don't know what your pump timing is. You don't have to be like that. Just slow your roll. You're not super rock star. Like, we can say hello and hang out for a minute. It's going to be okay. I promise. I don't bite, and neither does anybody else.
All I can say is if you're afraid of competition, you're in the wrong sport.
I'll tell you the thing, though, too, that's hurting it is the rules unification across everywhere, no matter the class.
Certain classes.
Like, I didn't know that we weren't allowed to run airbags on light limited supers down here. And up there in Wisconsin, you are. I didn't know that.
It's very... You brought up the most regionalized... We got it. They don't. Screw that guy up there. Screw that guy down there. Class on the road.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll be fully transparent. That's kind of the class I've been working on for down here the most.
I love light limited super for what it offers in terms of variety, but like already I can tell you we're going to be a pull-off thread tomorrow.
Hey,
who gives a damn?
It's fun.
I have to. I'm a moderator on there. I'm going to have to clean it up.
Yeah. Two similar classes, too. I think there's two in particular that, Charles, you and I have had the discussion amongst each other that we're afraid one's going to kill the other.
You've got to
and that being
4-1 in Light Pro?
No, 5-0 in Light Pro.
I'd say it's 4-1 and 5-0.
What'll bring all three of them into the mix is when they all go component.
Exactly. Because I mean,
when you get to that point, now it's like, what are we doing? Like, what's the point now?
Bingo.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
nobody
the 5-0, the 5.0 and the Light Pro both have the same turbo limit now at 5 inches, right?
No.
When did that happen?
It's never been the same.
No, it's not.
5.0 Pro and the turbo size is what I was referring to.
Only for the Light Pro, it's only on the exhaust side.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood that rule then.
This is an argument Andrew and I used to have going back to antiquity, and I will still stand up and kind of pick a fight about this one. Where I think Light Pro does themselves a service and lends themselves to longevity is the cubic inch rule.
You are exactly right.
The 540 just works. I know there's tons of 640 stuff out there as super farms, as 4.1s, and bigger as pros. I get it. But the 540 thing works. And I'm not trying to tell anybody to decube or walk away from their class or suggesting anything. but I think it will. So if it goes all component across all of them, one of them probably dies, and it's not Light Pro.
So which one do you think it'd be?
4-1. Hate to say
Yeah.
it, probably 4-1.
I do too.
And
I
I would
love
not be.
4-1
I would
too.
not be. So let me put a further onto that. I would not be surprised to see Super Farm get a small bump in charger size a little bit to step into the void, the horsepower gap, and now you have a 1 step. 3 inches has been the thing forever, and why you guys both are in the class. So like I'm talking out of turn here on this, but I mean a 3.5, maybe.
I mean, what size is Outlaw Run?
Oddball.
Yeah,
what-
it's I don't remember. It's a
it's
kind
weird.
of a weird spec. Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, but I
Straight up.
mean, yeah, it is.
Anyway, we're getting off on a tangent we shouldn't be getting onto. We better end this thing.
Nah, we still gotta go through where all
Wait,
we're going to this weekend.
well, hold on. Who have we not offended yet?
We haven't offended
want me
anybody.
to
I'm
start?
pretty sure
God.
we're fine.
Let's do the new vehicles and where we're going. Let's end this thing. So
All right, go ahead.
Lordy, where do we even start with that?
Brent
We've got
Payne
so
finally
many.
Brent Payne finally sending the light super or open super over to Europe.
Oh yeah, that popped up in my feed today. I forgot about that one for a minute.
That
Then I
thing
saw it and I
is-
was like, oh, hello.
He stayed quiet on that too. Good self-discipline because he waited to say that it was even being shipped, and then all of a sudden, like an hour later, hey, it's here.
It's gonna be, and it's cool that we did that too. It's going overseas because Mary Kell and Adam all just landed overseas. Was it today or last night?
Last night they got there. Yeah. Yep. And I didn't say anything, but I had to laugh at the photo of the special coming out of the trailer because it had like old school Firestone 24.5s on it, so it would fit in the Connex box.
I
It was
kind of
interesting.
liked it though. That's the thing. I kind of liked it.
It's like, man, y'all put the small tire on it. You're gonna really spin a gear, aren't you?
Straight up, yeah.
Yeah.
That's going to be an amazing event. It's cool that they're going to get to experience that, especially seeing all the new different combinations that they've never seen before in person.
Yeah.
Adam Drout's over there.
Especially
he
for
is.
Mary, especially for Mary and her team running and competing against those different combinations.
Yeah.
She's gonna be run up against screw blowers, right?
18s,
18s. Yep.
18s, Pro Chargers on. Was it Rover Meteors or was it some Allison configuration?
I don't think there's an Allison that's light enough, but yeah, definitely there's a Rover, at least one. Yeah.
Because I know Gompy is getting close. That's a Pro Charged Allison of sorts, unless I'm speaking out of term. It's Pro Charge, I know. Turbines, 18s on Hemis, twin plugs, Chevys, anything you can think of in that class.
Yeah.
So, I'll be curious to see how the welcoming is for Hans being the only diesel super running over there.
I think people are gonna dig it, quite honestly.
It'll be cool. Speaking that they're also building a couple diesel supers that are supposed to be coming out by the end of the summer. So that'll be interesting too, because it might spark some more interest.
Yeah.
Where do we go next? But that event over there is just going to be a hit.
Absolutely. It's we've already said it multiple times tonight. That's bucket list, man. I'd love to get over there for anything, whether it's Mata or something else.
Mata, Beach Pole,
So cool.
Yeah.
anything.
I'm here. That was just me
Beach.
fat fingering the screen.
Great
Yeah.
Eccleston would be cool. I mean, I love going to England too. Like, I'd love to go back there too. So Great Eccleston would be on the list as well.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
Yeah. I'll be 100% honest. I've got to go to the poll this weekend, the Power Weekend. It's on my calendar for 2027 or 2028, I think. I think that's when I'm going to try to go.
You know what? How awesome would it be to spend a day there and then dip out and go over to the 24 Hours of Le Mans? Because that's this weekend as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
That'd
it
be insane.
is.
That'd be insane.
Wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
that'd be epic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
To continue on what we're talking about, to finalize basically this new vehicle thing, we did see a new Benedict mod in Farley. The new Allison configuration of Bollinger's was out also. They get that thing figured out. I think it should be a contender, or at least run very well.
I had an interesting question about them. So with modifieds, you're supposed to declare a certain overdrive, but no one's ever done what they've done before. Do we even know how hard they're turning the Chargers? Now, I mean, it doesn't matter, but like, behind what you see on the Gilmer belt out front, there is that gearbox behind it. I don't know what it's spinning. I don't think it's crazy.
And I never got the chance to ask Lean or Steve, and it'd be an interesting question to ask them.
Yeah.
To see what they want to spin it at, what they're currently spinning it at, what NCPA tech officials will eventually make the limit.
Yeah.
But
I don't think there is a limit imposed on them because, like I said, no one's done it before, and until they start kicking everybody's teeth in, well, why can't?
and let it? And if they get it figured out, let them kick the teeth in for a little bit. It's cool to see.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it is epically cool.
If you
I hope it's alive in time for me to see it still this summer. I adore the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I mean, look at how much success Green Monster has over there. Let it happen.
Well, there's a ton more reasons they're successful over there than they couldn't be successful over here because a big portion of what's on those tractors is illegal here.
Right.
No overdrive or underdrive, I believe is what I heard.
Okay. And looking at the pulleys that are exposed on the Gilmer, if it's overdriven on those, it's not much. I mean, we're talking like 105%. It's not.
Yeah, they're really big pulleys.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really are. But Wyatt, I mean, that wasn't the only one that we had. We had Benedict's new mod, which the wrap on it, I'm going to assume it's a wrap. That wrap is absolutely gorgeous.
That thing is going to be contender worthy in a couple.
It's going to be
looks.
a mean one.
They're not afraid to lean on their stuff. Never have.
No,
they're not.
They were ready to come in and whip some tail. They just had a couple unfortunate things happen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like rupture in the oil pan with whatever broke it.
Yeah,
that sucks.
Yeah, I mean that's just kind of neat that.
The new ones I'm gonna be very interested to see about this weekend is the Superstock Diesel Truck Division up in Hutchinson because there are a couple of new to them vehicles running. Funk's obviously prominent in the diesel 3.6 truck class, stepping up to big Chargers. I think big Chargers running Superstock Diesel truck class.
Yeah, big singles is what I saw.
Myfic finally getting the Hades edition of Triple Alpha process.
Finally.
That's going to be cool. That's the newer version of that. Let's see. And then as well as Randy Sandstrom. That's an old LDS diesel truck, Brent Myers, and that's just rewrapped and made into a Superstock truck. So a couple different.
I did get to. He does have a few runs on it. He was down in Ohio last fall. I did get to see it. Didn't run great, but Van was all over the thing trying to help him out and get it lined out. So I think he's got a little bit of a leg up because it has at least been down the track.
Yep. And Jeremy Yeager also has a second truck. Pipe Dream. He has his second truck, which will be run this weekend.
Trencher,
right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
And then we also mentioned Digging Hearts resheeted. So Yeager has the old Grin Barry. Okay, so that's where that truck went.
Oh,
that makes sense.
Okay, yeah, it does actually. Huh. Well, Pro Pulling League's got a bunch of events going on this weekend too. A bunch.
Yes.
First ever pull in Shipshewana, Indiana. Going back to the outdoor track. It's awesome.
big truck show alongside that. I mean, it's gonna be a show. They're gonna have something cool there.
I think you're gonna really find out who's running what points after this weekend, though, too, because this is finally when the classes are finally like, okay, you're either going here or you're going there for some of them.
Yeah, it's decision time. Yeah,
I'm really curious to see how that's going to turn out.
yeah, we'll see.
But yeah, I mean, Wyatt, you've got Macville. I know it's a little bit far away from you, but just because it's closer to you than there is me, that one's going to be going on.
Yep. So, well,
yeah.
We got anything else?
Yeah, we're not done yet. We've got Paris, Missouri going too, and I have a link to the PayPal that they sent me to put into our comment section and post onto our pages to go and donate to them for their benefit hospital pool. And I talked to them last night, and they really wanted to give a big shout out to Nutrient Ag Solutions as being their VIP
Are we cutting
sponsor there. Am I?
No, I heard you the whole time. Keep going.
Yeah, Nutrient Ag Solutions is their VIP sponsor, but I don't know if either one of you guys can go into the private chat and copy and paste that PayPal into our comments.
I don't know if I have permissions to do that, but I will try.
Wyatt, I think you can.
I'll see what I can do. So,
yeah, but that's gonna be a great pool. That's gonna be 8 classes, 2 tracks. I'm gonna be on the mic for that one. I mean, I've heard nothing but great things about this pool, and I'll be honest, the part I'm the most excited about is seeing a lot of the ones run outdoors that I've only ever seen run indoors during the winter time. I mean, like, I know that Marty and Smokey are going. They put up a post today that they're going to be in Paris. So, I mean, that's automatically 2 right there I've never seen run outdoors. So, and then another class that I'm really interested to see actually is the 6,000 Extreme class from Excalibur. I think that's a rocket ship on 6,000 pounds pretty much. It's going to be awesome.
Yep. So, anyway.
Yeah. Wyatt, have you dug into either
we on the end here
very much, or Charles?
I have not. I don't know what the rules are or what to even expect to see it. I'm intrigued. I'd like to see video come out of it. Whoever's, I don't know, what Smoking Crew's going to be there filming that. I'd be interested to watch.
I'll get a cell phone video from up in the tower. I've been told the announcer's tower is about 100 foot down the track.
Is that all?
So, yeah. I'll be able to get something coming out of the hole at least.
I've been in some places like that. I get it.
Yeah, I love it. So, I mean, it's going to make for a great video. I know one engine sub's going to be a 4-1 Charger with an intercooler. I know that's one of them. At 6,000 pounds, that's going to be crazy. But that is all I've got, guys. I can't end it because I'm not at my laptop.
I got to figure out how to end it because my internet's giving out.
Oh, dear, really?
Top right, end stream. I can't do it.
Yeah.
It just says,
it's a big red button.
It says stream this to your audience.
Okay, you're going to see a black screen for like the next 7 hours. Have a good night. Thank you for joining us here on Sports Almanac.
Wyatt, I thought you had complete access.
My internet's been giving out.
All right. Yeah, just exit out your screen should do it. Okay, that works too.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. All right, go fix the combine.
See you, Charles.
Good night.
Yep, will do. Bye.
See ya.